SABC's Aldren Sampear has been following this story and joins us now in studio. Good evening, Aldren, and thank you so much for joining us. Now, first things first, is this another case of a bungled investigation by the police?
Well, the perception out there is this is definitely one of those cases. People on Twitter, for instance, on social media have been saying that could it be a case where police felt that there was mounting pressure, for instance, to have an arrest while the country was mourning the death of Senzo Meyiwa, to see that the police are busy doing something. You'd remember that even the National Police Commissioner, Ria came on board, a national task force was even set up, and to have something like this does seem to be a bungling up of an investigation, and the police are saying that they are not embarrassed by this, by what has happened, charges being provisionally withdrawn against Mbatha.
Now, why were the charges provisionally withdrawn?
Well, the NPA is saying that there are several discrepancies in this docket that they've received from the police. They said that initially when the police came with the docket, it was indicated that obviously two people had identified Zanokuhle Mbatha as the person who had killed Senzo Meyiwa, among the 2 or 3 suspects that were at the house in Vosloorus, and that's the reason why they decided to proceed with the case and prosecute him based on that. But after looking at some of the evidence that have come forward so far, they felt that, you know what, there are no prospects rather of a successful case against Zanokuhle Mbatha, and that's the reason why they've decided to drop this case.
Now, Aldren, what does this mean for the case going forward?
Well, basically what it means is that the police have indicated on their side that the charges being withdrawn provisionally does not mean that he has been acquitted. So Zanokuhle Mbatha might be out at the moment, but he's not scot-free. He has to remain in South Africa, for instance, while this investigation still continues. And the police are saying that there are some questions that they still want to ask him. Zanokuhle Mbatha, I spoke to him after he was arrested. After he was released this morning. I spoke to him at his house with the family members. His mother was there, very emotional, and he was telling me about his experience inside the holding cells at Boksburg prison. And let's just quickly take a listen to what he had to say.
Yep.
Benongimemeza abanye bethi umbulalaleni uSenzo yabo kodwa ngade ngakhomment ngakhuluma ngaphendule.
Nobobele bathi bakubiza ngoRasta bathini like
bethe Rasta umbulaleleni uSenzo yabo bengingaphenduli into engayisho ne.
And lo muntu lo bohlala naye eseleni la bekathi
umuntu ade ngihlala naye eseleni uyena umuntu ade ngiduduza ngoba umuntu ade sonta yabo engithandazisa ngitshela ethi hayi mawuthi mfethu into awuyazi hlala lapho ukuthi awuyazi uNkulunkulu uzosiphendulela.
And what if those few days lamalanga lawo njengoba bose bokulama holding cells bofila kanjani?
Mfethu bekubhlungu ngoba ke nalento angiyazi yabo ngisho ngithi ikushuthi amaphoyisa ayikho into ayisebenzayo yabo anokubopha umuntu engakabi neshoyo ukuthi kena uye yabo.
Now, Aldren, you were with him, you spoke to him, he's at home, he's speaking of the fact that, what he went through in prison, the issues that he's talking about dealing with inside prison. What about being back in the community? Senzo Meyiwa was a national hero. He was the captain of Bafana, and his career was on a good path, and he was in good standing. What does this mean for him being back in his community and still having this case hanging over his head?
Well, the first question that I asked him is, Zanokuhle Mbatha, how do you feel that this case has been provisionally withdrawn against you? And instead of saying that I'm relieved, as his lawyer said, he said that I fear for my life. He said that I feel that at the time while being in prison, I was much safer in prison than being outside. For instance, outside the Boksburg court, you had police with barbed wire all over the area. It seemed as though the police anticipated that a whole lot of protesters would be coming out baying for his blood, for instance. And that's the reason why he feels at this point that he's not safe.
Now, we reported earlier that he is taking the police minister to court. He is suing the police minister with regards to him being wrongful arrest, or so to speak. Now, what does this mean?
Well, basically what this means is that he's going to be sitting down with his lawyers as well as the family, and then they'll decide whether they want to press a lawsuit against the police. And you'd remember that this wouldn't be the first time that the police face lawsuits for wrongful arrest. We had hip-hop star Kulichana's recent arrest, and he indicated, I think it was last week, that he will be suing the police for wrongful arrest. And then there's the 2011-2012 case. I don't know if you still remember that one with Zizi Kotwa, the former presidential spokesperson and our ANC spokesperson, and he was suing the police for 5 million rand for wrongful arrest after he was arrested in Rosebank. So this is not an unprecedented case, but it's yet to be seen if the police will challenge a lawsuit that will be brought against them by the Mbatha family as well as Zanokuhle.
But now, with looking at Zanokuhle's issue, the fact that he still there's a possibility that the case might be reopened and instituted against him. Is it a bit too presumptuous for him to start getting legal assistance and suing the police minister?
I guess the premise that he's moving from, or what really informs this lawsuit that they want to press against the police, is that he's insisting that he's innocent. He insisted from day one. I remember even speaking to him in prison at the time at the holding cells in Boksburg, and he was telling me that he has never done this and he would never do something like this. He knew Kelly very well. He even washed her car, as he puts it, and he doesn't understand why this has happened to him. And I asked him about, Kelly Kumalo's mother being one of the people identifying him as one of the suspects. And he said, you know what? I don't have any words for those people. At the moment, all I can do is tell you that I fear for my life.
Aldren, thank you so much for joining us. That was SABC's Aldren Sampear joining us in studio.